Good evening, Shortcut. Stephen here. List 1 for the week beginning Sunday, December 10th. Price list will go out at 9 p.m. Sydney time on December 13th. Wednesday, December 13th, the last lists of the year. I won't be back until probably mid-January, maybe later, who knows. But I will try and put some content up. There just won't be any lists. So this is the classic rock, krautrock, pop, and Aussie pub rock list. And some metal / thrash as well, just to round it out. I'm going to start by talking about a record that I've been saving for quite some time. It is one of my discoveries of the year, and also one of the most mystifying and bizarre stories around a record that I've heard about for a long time. This is it. The record is called Stonewall. Now, I would say there aren't very many of you out there who've heard of this record, and that was by design. So this band, 4 New Yorkers, played in the early 70s this brand of psychedelic, fast, riffy, bluesy rock. It coulda, shoulda, woulda been massive. Every single song on this record is an out-and-out banger. Now, it is on Spotify. Give it a listen. So, right from the off, we're talking the very first track right on. It starts off relatively muted, and then all of a sudden the riffs kick in. This gruff voice, right about the 2-minute mark, it breaks into a new song structure, and this pattern repeats itself. In fact, there's a suite of record songs on the side too, where they merge a whole bunch of things together. This record is fun. It's really well recorded. The blues riffing is awesome. The voice, it reminds me a little bit of a faster paced, bluesier Ocean Colour Scene, if you remember those dudes from the 90s. But better. It was really, really good. Why was it by design that you never heard of it? Well, there was this guy, a New Yorker, a mob guy, connected, Morris Levy, and he created a record company called Tiger Lily in the 70s, and they released records that were designed to lose money as tax breaks for their investors / nefarious actors A, B, C, and D. And this band put everything into recording this record, thought it was legitimately being released, and they were told by their record company, by their representatives, we shopped it around, no one's interested. So they went their own way. They never made another record. They kind of did this half-baked tour. Within a year, they were gone. The record was kind of slipped out, and I think they recorded it in 72, and it was only then kind of partially released in 76, and it just died by design. Poor guys. Anyway, then a copy was discovered in Europe in the early 2010s, and it was auctioned in 2014. This is prior to maybe the start of the uptick in the interest in vinyl, and it was auctioned for $14,000 US. And all of a sudden, people were interested in Stonewall again, but there were no copies until this year. This is the now sold out, hard to find. I think it's only ever been sold once on Discogs for $150 or something. This is number, you can probably see that, 463 of 500. Yeah, it's really hard to find. This is the Vinyl Me Please exclusive was released on silver vinyl. I've got my copy in the other room. You can see here, published 1976. They replicated the exact sleeve from the farcical release in the 70s. I feel really sorry for those guys because they made an amazing record. Where do you hear it? It's so good. And it's perfect for vinyl. Oh man, it blasts out the speakers. It's so good. I cannot, what a bizarre story. Tiger Lily Records. If you can find, this is like the crate digger's dream. If you can find one of those 70s releases of Stonewall, you are well in. Anyway, for now, the Vinyl Me Please release is about as good as it gets. And those 500 copies are now gone, except for this one. All right, now I've got some Japanese records that I want to talk about. Now, this band are currently touring Australia, the mighty Krautrock. Now, this is something I've had for a long time, and I've mulled over whether I should put into the group. The fact of the matter is, I'm not that big of a Krautrock fan myself. This is the Japanese first press. It is in amazing condition. This is the lyric sheet and the kind of like a kind of 4-sheet insert. It's in fantastic condition. One of the things that's really interesting about the Japanese pressing, if you can see track 2 there, Dentaku, you'll see every other track has an English and Japanese translation, but Dentaku is in Japanese only, and that is because they recorded a special version for the Japanese first press only in Japanese for that song. For those of you who are Krautrock fans, I will leave you to discover what that sounds like for yourself. Suffice to say, it's very Kraftwerkian. Okay, I've got a record from a band that I love very, very much. This is the Japanese first press of Head Over Heels, the second album from the Cocteau Twins. The Cocteau Twins were effectively a shimmer shoegaze band. Call it, another phrase that I've heard people describe it as is ethereal rock. This vocalist being kind of one of the key aspects of this was Liz Fraser, who went on to immense fame in some incredible vocal tracks with the likes of Massive Attack and others. But her own band, Cocteau Twins, released a series of records in the 80s that are as good as any band. Treasure is another amazing record. If you ever see it, pick it up. It's pretty hard to find. The Japanese first press is this copy is in just magical condition. That's the insert. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And now this was their second record. Their first record, Liz Fraser's vocals were entirely buried in the mix, and I mean, not just it was. You could pick out that there was a female vocalist, but that was about it. Right from the first track on this record, her vocals are strident, clear, sounds amazing. You still get these incredible songs with washes of noise and layered guitar swathing around. Sweet Hiccup is pretty phenomenal. So really interesting record. I know that it can be a challenge, the likes of these 80s more shoegazy bands, but it is like you peel away and all of a sudden when it clicks, you're like, oh, that is beautiful. And yeah, this band made some truly beautiful music. Moving on to the next record, in retrospect, I should have followed this record. This record should have followed Kraftwerk, and when you see what it is, you'll understand why. This is a very fine Japanese press of David Bowie's Low. I think Low and The Man Who Fell to Earth are probably, or was it The Man Who Sold the World? The Man Who Sold the World, probably my two favourite Bowie records from my two favourite Bowie eras. So there's that Sold the World, Hunky Dory, Ziggy era where, basically he was the best rock star on the planet. And then there's the Low Heroes, Lodger, Berlin trilogy, where he became the weirdest electro freak on the planet. And I will contend that side one of this record, which I will run through for you, Speed of Life, Breaking Glass, What in the World, Sound and Vision, Always Crashing in the Same Car, Be My Wife, and A New Career in a New Town. That run of 7 songs is as good a first side as any record ever made. Now, the second side is very different. And for those of you who are familiar with the record, you'll know what I mean. Eno-esque soundscapes with clanks and bangs and weirdness, but still very, very beautiful. But that opening salvo, that opening 7 songs, is perfection from start to finish. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change the order because I was round at my good friend Fergal's house on Friday evening, and we played a bunch of music. And one of the things that, actually, the record that I enjoyed the most, and we only listened to side one of it, was Murmur by R.E.M. Side one of Murmur by R.E.M. is a spectacular side of music. It is so crafted, Gardening at Night, talking about the passion. Every song, I think there's 6, they're perfectly placed within each other. The flow is amazing. For a debut album, it's pretty stunning stuff. So just kind of reinvigorated my love for R.E.M. And then I remembered that I had a duplicate on the shelf that I noticed a few weeks ago. And this is the duplicate record. This is Life's Rich Pageant by R.E.M. For a very long time, this was my favorite R.E.M. album. I don't think it would. It's not that I don't think it wouldn't be the case today. But when I first discovered R.E.M. Through most people in my age, through Out of Time and Automatic for the People, I ended up around that time working for a summer in the US, and this was the era in the US of the long, tall CD boxes. I don't know if that was a thing in Australia, but it was like a cardboard box where the height was about twice the height of the CD, and inside was the CD at the bottom, but almost was like I don't know if it was a weird way of trying to replicate artwork. It was a very clumsy thing. But because I was really loving those couple of massive R.E.M. hits, I went right back and whilst I was in the US, I bought all of the R.E.M. back catalogue and came home, and it was one of those bands where my mum and I both loved R.E.M., so she was quite happy to listen to to these records. And this one was like, it had a poppy, peppy, kind of crunchy guitar sound that in after kind of Out of Time and Automatic for the People just seemed to appeal to my ears. It seemed to really work. But I listened, I'm not so sure now. I think it's still a very, very fine record, and it's got some really beautiful things. Fall on Me was, I I mean, how they stuck Fall on Me right the back of the record on side two, it's just bizarre because it's just an incredibly beautiful record. And there's a lovely hidden track at the end as well that they don't talk about on the record. It's very, very fine. And it's a lot of pleasure going back to that 80s era REM. It kind of reminds you just how magnificent they were. And that's a good thing because when Bill Berry left the band and when they became kind of sludgy stadium rock, it was a shame. But don't let that negate what they did, because for a while they were truly stunning. For a long while. I've got a couple of other 80s records here. Now, these are Japanese first presses of some of the bigger and more interesting 80s records from Australia. So I have the Japanese first press of Cold Chisel East. In the notes that came with this one is a note saying, this is mint, it has never been played. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it said. All I know is, having opened it, it is in spectacular condition. That book, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was released a while ago, the 100 Greatest Australian Albums. I believe East was at number 3, and this one, and this is a record I prefer to Cold Chisel. I am not a fan of Jimmy's voice in any way, but this new wave record is better. And I was surprised to find it was on the list, number 51. This is Don't Throw Stones by The Sports. And this is the Japanese first press white label promo of this record. I like this a lot, but I think there's probably some Aussie music fans out there who would love this more than me. But it's a lovely record. It's not as pub rocky as Chisel, and it's not. Chisel has this weird thing where it tries to be a soul record too. It's like, I don't know, and this clear, to my mind anyway, I hear Otis Redding through Cold Chisel's East, which just I find off-putting. I just can't get it. But The Sports I like a lot. I've been raving about how good Japanese presses can be of certain bands. There's David Bowie at the front, Roxy Music, Steely Dan. There are two here that I think highlight all that is good about Japanese vinyl. This band we had recently on the list as well. This is Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. Oh my God! I think I've heard a lot of. I'm a big Lizzy fan, and I've heard a lot of Jailbreak copies over the years, including Vinyl Me Please's recent repress, which had people in the US and others raving that it's like the definitive copy now. There is nothing better. You know what? I think this is better. This is the one I listen to. I think this is better. It's fuller. It's thicker. It may not be as crisp as the Vinyl Me Please, but it just sounds better to me. Japanese Lizzy records are just so good. And the same can be said of this. Now, this band, this record, I've never had. And the packaging is really special. Over the years, I have championed this band in terms of not being just a singles band, but being a great album band as well. But this is interesting. There's a little bit here that you can see. Creedence Clearwater Revival. This is more Creedence. It was like their follow-up to that monster first set of singles. Can you see this sleeve? It's just, it's fantastic. Let me give you a quick snippet of soundbite of what's on there. So Run Through the Jungle, Fortunate Son, Who'll Stop the Rain, Good Golly, Miss Molly, I Put a Spell on You, Up Round the Bend, and a bunch of others. So you get this really cool rundown of classic Creedence singles. But what I really like with this is this lovely book. It's so nice. Can you see that? It's got all the English lyrics, of course, but it's got some fabulous photos of the band in this kind of sepia brown mix, and yeah, it's just really nice package. Sounds really good too, really fine. All right, now we've had lots of refined and high quality music from R.E.M. and Creedence and the Cocteau Twins and Kraftwerk. I think it's time to bring the noise. These two have been in the crates for a long time, and it surprised me because I think they're really fine examples. This is two 12-inch singles from Anthrax. One is the UK, I believe these are, no, Australia, New Zealand, first press of Anthrax's 12-inch for Make Me Laugh, which the sleeve is really nice. Record's in great condition. I'm just going to see what the B, oh God, the B-side, the infamous Sex Pistols song Friggin' and the Riggin' and Antisocial, and then on the flip side you got Make Me Laugh, which is really good. And then the second 12-inch here is I'm the Man by Anthrax, which is also Australia New Zealand first press, which has got I'm the Man, the censored radio version, then the uncensored version, and then the song Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which is a Black Sabbath cover version, of course. Then there's a live version of I'm the Man, Caught in the Mosh live, and then I Am the Law live. So a couple of thrash metal 12 inches to finish off tonight's list. This price list will go out 9 p.m. on Wednesday, Sydney time. If there's anything you would like to know more about in the meantime, give me a shout as always. If you enjoyed the video, please like or leave a comment. Hopefully there's something there that you might not have heard before, or that might prompt you to go back and listen to something you haven't listened to in a long time. As always, the pleasure is mine. Thank you if you made it this far, and have a fantastic week. List 2 is awesome. All right, good night.